Hey guys, it's Axe. I just wanted to do a quick video on the PCRIs to give you an idea of what I'm talking about when I say we could be setting up a top. We are getting some capitulation style readings, and that the market is sort of mixed or ambiguous at the moment, right? So I've got all the drawing tools off right now. Just we've got a pure chart. So I kind of want to show you, right? So when we set up the top in, I guess, December into January, you can see this is the primary PCRIs indicator, right? So we sort of set up this round bottom that as we started to break down in January, we sort of got pretty high here, and you would call that capitulation. Anything up in this range is going to be capitulation. So you can see it wasn't really a breakout per se because we didn't like 2x the move, but for the purpose of the indicators, it was enough of a breakout, right? Where we came down, we set this low, came down and set another one, and this time it was a lower high, whereas the first time it was a higher high, right? So we set a lower high and we said, okay, so this is right before that, or during that FOMC, that huge March rally, and that's sort of what led the way. We had capitulation to an extent, but all these readings down here were lower highs as we went lower, and so that's a bullish divergence, and that's what helped fuel this rally. And you can see as we rallied in March, this indicator came all the way down here, and this was where we were registering some euphoria, right? So we came down here, the momentum indicator, all the way down. Basically, all of our indicators came all the way down to support this move. Okay, and as we came back up, notice, or as we came back down, sorry, from that top at the end of March, we got back into capitulation, right? It was another round bottom move. We set a higher high. In fact, this was probably, it wasn't a higher final high, but locally compared to this one at the March lows, it was higher. So we basically come back up and we're setting lower highs all the way across, and you can see here this is sort of trending down. So if in terms of bearish momentum, you could consider this bearish like momentum. We're sort of trending down as we continue to bounce and chop. But the thing that I'm watching here is we came up, we sort of had this round bottom. This was a higher range, round bottom, and now we're possibly forming another round bottom. You can see the PCRIs are falling off a little bit today. They were a little bit higher, but this is potential for another breakout like we saw at the top here, and this was in December, January. So I'm watching to see, does this spike up in the same way that we did here? And that says we could be setting up a top kind of like this. And typically when we get down into this range, you can see, if you look at this indicator here, our December top, we were at the same spot for basically all of these indicators, right? So this is acting like we're at a top. And if I scroll back, typically in a bull market, it's a little bit different, but a lot of times we get here, and this was August of 21, same range. So you have August, September, you have December, and then you have now where we set up a top. And you can see sort of April, February of 21. So this is the range where we start to set up tops. And that's why I get a little bit concerned. We're moving down, which is a positive thing, but if this starts to break out, that becomes really problematic, and it starts to look, if I zoom out even further, like what we had in, sort of the COVID crash, where we were coming down. It looked like things were improving, but we set up another top, all the indicators fired a sell signal, and boom, everything broke out. So that's what I'm afraid of. So when I say we're possibly setting up a crash, that's what I'm watching. Is this going to break out sort of like we have on other tops, where we finally get that one big VIX spike, that capitulation move, and in the case of the COVID, it was obviously a huge move. I'm not saying we're going to get the same type of or magnitude of move, but that's what concerns me. However, if we're able to get here and this starts to roll back over, and these all start to roll back down and continue to set lower highs, okay, then we're in pretty good shape. And you could say there's a possibility here that we're trying to set up a low right at support where we're going to bounce, and you could even call it like an inverse head and shoulders type of thing. So there's a possibility still that we could bounce out of this. We're in a range where we could find support and get a bounce, but we need support from the PCRIs. We need this to come down, and right now it's not. Right now it's acting like it wants to break out. And so that's my concern, and that's what I'm watching. And so when I look at the prior tops, it was like a round bottom coming out of March. It's a round bottom here in December. We had lower highs here. Here they're all equal highs, and so that's a bit of a concern. So those are the things that I'm watching. That's why I say the market's sort of ambiguous right now. We're waiting to see what the next card that's going to be dealt is. For now, that's why the indicators I think are pretty important at this stage. But there is some caution because we're setting up what in the past has been a top, right? And if we set up that top, I think that whether it's 37.10, 36.50, or worse, I think that's going to happen much quicker this time. So that's what I'm watching. I hope that helps. Feel free to fire away with questions as always. Thanks.